morning, good morning, good morning. I am so excited to finally be on. Of course, Facebook has this new live feature that they wanted me to try out, and I couldn't figure out how to work. So that's why I'm a little bit late today. I apologize. But I hope you guys are excited about this 10-day mini class, 10 steps to real food and a healthier you. So um, my name is Catherine Atkinson. I'm the owner of Mind, Body, and Soul. I'm a holistic health practitioner who specializes in foot zone therapy, nutritional therapy, and energy therapies like Jinshin Jitsu, which is a Japanese therapy similar to acupressure, kind of like acupressure. And as a holistic health practitioner and instructor, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, how do I eat healthy? What kind of food should I be eating? How do I transition from this standard American diet to a real foods diet? And so a lot of times there's this misperception that it's hard, that there's a lot of work involved. And there are some things that maybe you might have to relearn further down, but there are really some very simple steps that you can take to transition from the standard American diet, sometimes called the SAD diet, to a real foods diet. And so that's what I want to do with this mini class, with this 10-day mini class. I want to give you some super simple steps that can take you from the standard American diet to a real foods diet and a healthier you. So no matter where you are along that pathway, along that journey, if you're eating McDonald's and Burger King and you're eating boxed cereal and boxed macaroni and cheese and lunch meat and soda pop, we can get you in these 10 days. I can give you the steps to be eating a real food, nutrient dense diet in those 10 days. And so I'm going to just make it super simple. Every single day, there'll be some homework for you that you can start working on right away. So before we get started, I just give me a little bit of love. Let me know that you're there. If you're super excited about this, just like I am, let me know that you're on, and so I can say hi to you. So I know who's watching me, and just let me know how excited you are to make this transition from standard American diet to a real foods diet. Say hi, give me a heart, whatever you need to do just to give me a little bit of love and let me know that you're there. So today's step is, I'm going to be talking about salt. Today we're going to switch from a refined white salt to an unrefined sea salt, and we're going to talk about why. We're going to talk about why your body needs salt. We're going to talk about the difference between the refined salt and the unrefined salt. I just want to get my notes here. We're going to be talking about how your body processes those two salts differently. We're going to be talking about the different varieties of unrefined sea salt. And then we're going to talk about some sources of real salt. Okay, so how does your body use salt? Well, let me back up here. The purpose of digestion is to take the food that you eat and break it down into molecules that are so small that they can be absorbed by the cells. Okay, so we're taking the food that we eat, breaking it down so that the body can use it. Now, it doesn't matter how good your digestion is if you're eating food that doesn't have the nutrients that the body needs. You can have the best digestion in the world, and digestion is a topic for a different mini class. You can have the best digestion in the world, but unless you're eating nutrient-dense food, your body is not getting the minerals and the nutrients that it needs to self-heal, and the body is designed to self-heal. You know, one of the things that really surprises me when I talk to people is that they understand that with a computer, it's garbage in, garbage out. But they don't make that same connection when it comes to the food that they eat. So they're eating, like I mentioned before, they're eating the McDonald's, they're eating the Burger King, they're eating the boxed macaroni and cheese, they're eating lunch meat, they're drinking soda pop, they're eating canned soup, and they're surprised when they don't have perfect and ideal health. So like I said, no matter how good your digestion is, if you're not feeding your body nutrient dense food, you're not going to have the health that you want. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why we're having this class too. Okay, so After the body breaks down the food, there are four macronutrients. Now, the difference between a macronutrient and a micronutrient is basically the composition in the body. Okay, there are four nutrients, four minerals that the body has a greater concentration of: calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. Okay, and it uses those chemicals to maintain balance in the body. So if you don't have a proper balance of those four minerals, as well as the other ones that the body needs, it can create health problems. It makes it difficult for the body. Hi, I don't know if it's Don or Mary, but I'm so glad you're here. And Johannes, hi, nice to see you. So if you don't have those nutrients in your body has difficulty maintaining balance. And if you have low sodium, interestingly enough, I know that science has been on this, or doctors have been on this low sodium kick, and we'll talk about that in a minute, since the 1970s. But if you don't have enough sodium in your body, it can create problems with brain fog and memory and lots of other problems in the body. Okay, so your body needs sodium. It's one of those four macronutrients that it has in highest concentration. In fact, if you think about it, when you go to the doctor, they put saline, right? If when you go to the hospital, well, what's saline? It's salt water, okay? But the problem is maybe you're getting the wrong salt. You're getting the wrong source of, you're using the wrong source of sodium, okay? So your body needs sodium, and usually it can get it from some food, but primarily it gets it from when you use table salt, okay, or when you're cooking, okay? So let's talk about the difference between the refined white salt and the unrefined sea salt. Now, one thing I want to be aware is sometimes you'll see the label that says sea salt. Well, all salt is sea salt. Okay, all salt comes from the sea. So it could be refined and still be labeled as sea salt because, you know, it's from the sea. But what you're looking for is the unrefined sea salt. Okay, you want unrefined sea salt. And let's talk a little bit about the difference between those two to help you understand why what you want is unrefined. So when you're getting the refined white salt, it's commonly called Morton's, right? In the grocery store, it comes in that blue container. When you're getting the refined white salt, they mine it. Typically, they mine it as a brine. So they take whatever their source is, they fill it with a bunch of water, and then they pump that water out and now it has the salt in there. So it's got the brine, or it's called brine, and it's filled with not only the sodium chloride, but it's filled with all the minerals. Okay, but they want to take those minerals out. They call them impurities, but they're really minerals that they then sell to other industries, and sometimes they're to nutraceutical industries. Okay, so they take this brine, they fill it with chemicals, they put chemicals in there so that they can easily extract the minerals that they call impurities. Okay, then they add an anti-caking agent. Now, the anti-caking agents that they use are aluminum and aluminum something and ammonium something. And then there was one other one that I can't remember, but I remember the aluminum because I was thinking, great, just what we need in our bodies, more aluminum. But they put those anti-caking agents in there because, of course, when it rains, we want it to pour, right? You can't put rice in we can't, shake the bottle a little bit before we pour it. We have to have it just free flow. Then they add a little bit of iodine. It's what the amount they add is 0.01% iodine so that it can be iodized salt. Then what they do is they add, so I told you about the anti-caking agent. They add the iodine. Then they add, in order to stabilize the iodine, they add some dextrose. Well, dextrose is sugar, in case you didn't know. Dextrose is sugar. So to your salt, they're going to add some sugar. And that serves two purposes. One, it helps stabilize the iodine, but also the sodium chloride is so bitter that most people wouldn't even want to eat it. So the salt helps, or the sugar helps with the flavor. Now, when I first heard that they add sugar to my salt, I couldn't believe it. I'm thinking, why in the world would they do that? Until I found out why. But then I happened one day to get one of those little packets, that has those packets that have the napkin and they have the silverware and they have, hi mom, and they have my mom just joined from Michigan. Isn't that fun? Yay. So I had one of those little packets that has the napkin and it has the silverware and it has the salt and pepper. And I happened to look at the salt packet just out of curiosity. And sure enough, it says in addition to the salt, it has dextrose, okay? So they add the sugar to the salt to help stabilize the iodine, and they add the sugar to the salt to help the taste because the sodium chloride by itself would be way too bitter. Now, they've pulled out all the impurities. You've got straight sodium chloride, so they add the anti-caking agents. They add the dextrose. Well, the anti-caking agents turns the salt purple, and nobody wants purple salt, so now they have to bleach it. So they take this brine mixture and they bleach it. They add bleach. Then they have to extract the water. So to do that, they put it under high heat and high pressure to extract the water, which denatures the salt molecules, and then they dehydrate it further so that they can actually package it. That's how you get table salt. Okay, so they've removed all the minerals, all the beneficial minerals that help the body create balance. They've put in those anti-caking agents, including aluminum, and they've added in the dextrose, they've bleached it, now they've put it under high pressure and high heat so that it denatures it, and then they put it in this package and they want us to consume it. But when the body consumes this, it's not a full food source. It's actually an unnatural source. And so the body has to take that sodium chloride and they have to add other things to it so the body can use it and then get rid of it. Now, the body wants to maintain a pretty strict balance of pH. When you add straight table salt, it actually makes the body more acidic. So it lowers the pH of the body. So when the pH of your blood is lowered, the body has to add, excuse me, I taught class this weekend, so my throat is really a little bit sore. If I sound hoarse, that's why. I've been talking all weekend long. But when you take straight sodium chloride or table salt and you consume it, it lowers the pH of the blood. And so the body actually has to, because it's more acidic, pull calcium from the bones in order to bring the pH of the body back to where it needs to be. Okay, so table salt really is detrimental to your health. And so when you're talking to your doctor about, and he says, oh, you want low sodium, he's really talking about the table salt that you get that's been denatured, that's been bleached, that's had all the beneficial minerals stripped from it, okay? But when you look at unrefined sea salt has not only the sodium chloride and the naturally occurring iodine, it has over 65 other naturally occurring minerals that the body needs to maintain balance. And interestingly enough, I was reading a book about salt in preparation, and the doctor was saying, it was a medical doctor who was saying that as a science project, their daughter took some water, added some table salt, and took some water, tested the pH of the water, added the table salt, and as I just explained, it lowered the pH of the water. But when she added then to that same solution unrefined sea salt, it raised the pH so that it was more in balance. Okay, so when you're eating and consuming unrefined sea salt, it actually aids the body in maintaining that chemical balance so that the body can self-heal. Okay, so if you're with me so far, if you understand what I'm talking about how the difference between the refined sea salt and the unrefined sea salt, give me a little emoji. Give me a heart emoji. Give me an apple emoji, something that lets me know that you're with me so far. Or if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the comments. I'll see that. Hi, Don and Mary. Hi, Johannes. Hi, Mom. Hi, Lori. Glad to have you on too. Really excited to see all you guys. So I've talked about why your body needs salt. I've talked about the difference between refined salt and unrefined salt and how it affects your body's, the balance of your body and the pH of your body, right? Let's talk a little bit about the different varieties of unrefined sea salt because there's more than one. You've probably heard of Himalayan pink salt, okay? That's a salt that comes from Pakistan. When they harvest it, they harvest it in a couple of different ways. It's an ancient sea salt bed, so it's buried underground, so it's not exposed to the toxins and pollutants in the air. They might go in there and just dig it out. They might go in there and blast it out. So you want to kind of be careful about that because when they blast it out, you get the residue from the explosive. Okay, so you don't want that. And then they'll package it. They test it, of course, to make sure it's clean and safe, and then they'll package it. And that's how you get the Himalayan pink salt from Pakistan. Hi, Bill. Nice to see you on too. Then there's the Celtic sea salt. Now, Celtic sea salt doesn't come just from Ireland. It's actually harvested all over Europe. And what they do is they take water from the sea, okay, water from the oceans, and they guide it into these different retaining ponds. And they send it from one retaining pond to another retaining pond, and they just kind of direct it into the different retaining ponds while the sun evaporates the water, okay? And then they stir it with these wooden paddles in order to harvest the salt, okay? Now, the Celtic sea salt, because it is mined from the ocean, it's going to be exposed to some things that those ancient salts aren't. It's going to be exposed to modern toxins, pollutions in the air, pollutions in the water. And so my first preference isn't going to be that the Celtic sea salt, although many people love it. It's just not my preference for that reason. Okay. The salt that I use is mined right here in the United States. It's mined in Utah. It's called Redmond Real Salt, and it also comes from an ancient seabed. It comes, it's underground. It's not exposed to any of the toxins. It's not exposed to any of the pollutions. And they don't mine it with explosives. They mine it and then test it and then package it. Now, I prefer the Redmond salt for a couple of reasons. One is I don't live in Pakistan, okay? And the Himalayan salt comes from Pakistan. And I know it's wonderful. I know it's great. But I kind of believe that the area where I live is going to contain more of the nutrients that my body needs to survive in that particular environment. Okay. And so because I live in the United States, I live in Utah, I use Redmond Real Salt. Now, I did find there is actually, for my family and friends in Michigan, there is a mine, a salt mine. Detroit's built on a salt mine. And so there is a salt mine in Michigan, but I haven't been able to find yet where they mine it for consumption. Right now, as far as I've been able to find, they just mine it for use on the streets, for salting the roads, during the winter. So if you can find a salt mine in your area, many cities like Cincinnati is built on a salt mine as well as Detroit. But of course, anciently, and even during pioneer times, salt was an important commodity to have. And so a lot of larger towns and cities are built on salt mines. So if you can find a salt mine where they harvest and package that salt unrefined, that would be a good source for you. But I haven't been able to find that yet. And so the three sources that I'm aware of is that Celtic sea salt where it's mined in the open air, okay, and exposed to modern toxins and pollutions, so that's not my first choice. The other one is the Himalayan pink salt, which is my second choice, only because even though it's wonderful, I don't live in Pakistan, I live in the United States. And so my first choice really is that Redmond Real Salt because it's mined right here in the United States and in Utah, which is where I live. So those are the three salts that will be unrefined, that your body can actually use. So your homework for today, okay, this is day 1 of 10 steps to real food and a healthier you. And your first step, your first super simple step for today is to switch out your salt. Okay, switch from, if you look in your pantry and you look in your salt shaker and you've got that white salt, table salt, commonly known as Morton's, could be other brands as too. Maybe you have an Aldi's brand, I don't know, whatever brand it is. If you've got that that refined white salt that's had all the minerals pulled out, it's been bleached, they've put ammonia in there, they've put aluminum in there so that when it rains, it pours. If you've got that, your first step to real food is to switch to an unrefined sea salt that's got all the really good nutrients that your body needs. Now, in the comments, I'm going to put some sources so that you know which Himalayan salt does not use explosives to mine it, so that you're using a Himalayan salt, if that's your choice, that doesn't have the residue from the explosives. I'll put a source in there for Redmond salt. I'll put a source in there for the Celtic sea salt, if that's your choice. But your homework for today is to switch up your salt. That's step 1 of the 10 steps to a real food diet. I'm Kathy Atkinson. I'm so excited to be here. I'm super excited for these 10 steps to real food, 10 steps to a healthier you. Hi, Natalie. It's so good to see you. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you love the super simpleness of the pathway to real food, give me a heart emoji. Let me know that you're there. Let me know that you understand what I'm talking about, that you understand the difference, that I've explained the difference between refined and unrefined and why unrefined sea salt is so important. I want to tell you one more thing. For those of you whose doctor has told you to be on a low salt diet and has put you on blood pressure medication, I'm going to share a story with you. Now, I want to preempt this by saying I'm not giving you medical counsel. I'm not diagnosing. I'm prescribing. I'm going to share with you the story of two friends of mine. I'm going to tell you the story of Janelle, but just know that Rhonda's story is the same. She did the same thing and had the same experience. I have a friend, Janelle. She used to live across the street from me. She is a nurse and she was taking blood pressure medication, okay, for high blood pressure. And she was trying to get pregnant, and she would get pregnant and then she would miscarry. And then she found out that one of the side effects of this blood pressure medication was difficulty carrying a baby to full term. And so she wanted to get off the blood pressure medication, but she thought that might be dangerous. And she knew that having high blood pressure wasn't the best thing during pregnancy either. So I had a class here, and Neil Bouchard from Redmond came and taught a class on Redmond clay and Redmond salt. And he told Rhonda's story, which is the same, became Janelle's story as well. And he told about how many people had written in saying that they've been able to get off their high blood pressure medication simply by using the Redmond real salt. And so Janelle decided that she was going to try it. So as a nurse, she's very careful. She began taking a teaspoon of real salt in a glass of water and drinking that every day. She monitored her blood pressure in the morning and she monitored her blood pressure in the evening. Hi, Kathy. Nice to see you too. She monitored her blood pressure morning and night. Oh, thanks for the love. Thank you so much. Um, Drank that glass of salt water every day. And by the end of the week, in 1 week, her blood pressure had dropped to the point that she cut her medication in half. Okay. She continued drinking the salt water. And the next week, after the second week of drinking salt water, monitoring her blood pressure morning to night, her blood pressure was dropping too low. And so she went completely off her blood pressure medication. And she's been able, hi Cassie, she's been able to maintain regular blood pressure, healthy blood pressure limits, just at first by drinking the salt water, but now it's gotten to the point that all she has to do is use the Redmond real salt on her food and in her cooking. So one of the many benefits of the unrefined sea salt is that it contains all the wonderful minerals that your body needs in order to maintain balance and maintain homeostasis and self-heal, whereas the refined white salt does not have that. Now beware again, because it can say sea salt and still be refined. So you want to make sure it's an unrefined sea salt that you're using to help the body maintain balance and self-heal. Again, I'm going to put the sources for the 3 most common salts in the comments below. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be watching this week to see if anybody has questions and I'll answer them. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope this first step to real food, super, super simple. We're going to switch out our salt so that we're not using the refined white salt. We're using all natural, unrefined sea salt. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, I'm Kathy Atkinson. I'm the owner of Mind, Body, and Soul, and I am excited to take you on this journey, 10 steps to a real foods diet and a healthier you. Talk to you soon, and I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock for step number 2. Bye-bye.